But let's bring on board Sachin Dixit, Internet Research Analyst at JM Financial Institutional Securities, on the sidelines of the conference, JM Financial Conference that is going on. Sachin, thank you so much for joining in with us this afternoon on ET Now. And the hot topic and the trend that has been going on is in the internet space. Not only that, because a lot of these consumer packaged good companies also have been focusing a lot more in terms of quick commerce as a trend. That's really picked up pace. And commentary is also indicating that. Could you just firstly highlight in terms of how even consumer companies, FMCG companies are focusing on this trends, and what is the growth that one should be expecting from this quick commerce trend?
No, so I think it's evident if you look at commentaries from most of the FMCG companies, they are increasingly talking about quick commerce accounting for a higher share of the business, and that is going to continue. The reason simply being that the growth for these companies is not really limited to how you can think of any traditional companies. There is a large penetration story that is getting played out. If you think of quick commerce for India, it's not really a new thing as such, because India was always used to quick commerce just in an offline format by shopping at Kirana stores. Now what has changed is basically we have apps that are delivering the items to your home. So not much has changed for a consumer as such. They are still getting used to having a sort of a higher frequency, lower ticket size purchases that they were anyways doing earlier compared to, let's say, a developed world economy or even some parts of Southeast Asia, where people used to stack up on their monthly sort of inventory upfront, putting things in pantry. In a lot of Indian households do not even have the concept of pantry. There might be some staples that they might be stocking, but other than that, they are doing a lot of those frequent purchases that happen on the go. So that way, the growth trajectory remains strong. Some of the companies that we have been tracking, they are growing almost doubling on a YOY basis, and there is no reason to believe that's likely to stop anytime soon.
Sachin, I just want to address the stock Tube investment now that the holding company of CG Power, and that stock is also gaining in trade. If you can get the chart of Tube investments, that stock is up around 8% odd. CG investments, CG Power has hit a 20% upper circuit on seeking not to get into the semiconductor business. Tube Investment, which is the promoter company of CG Power, is up around 8% odd. Okay, moving back. Sachin, what we were seeing specifically for Blinkit, the app data is showing a growth of 80% plus for the last 3 consecutive months. Do you expect similar trends to sustain over the next 1 to 2 years, because penetration levels are quite low, right?
So I mean, I'll not put a number out there that okay, Blinkit can grow whether 50% or 100%. But what you can certainly see that the consumer love for this business model is there. Initially, when you were thinking of quick commerce, most people were banking on grocery as the primary category. Now, if you look at a lot of companies that are releasing during the festive season, there were a lot of gold and silver coins that were sold on these platforms. At the time of Ganpati in Mumbai, Ganpati idols are being sold on these platforms. So a lot of these things have evolved. Going forward, the growth will be driven by, one, obviously consumers getting added to the platform and that sort of monthly transacting, annual transacting users going up. But further growth is going to come from assortment that these companies add. And it's going to be a very, very strategic call that these companies make in terms of what sort of assortments they keep on adding on a localized basis, right? If you look at, let's say, some of these functions or festivals that India sees, a lot of them might not really be celebrated across the country. They might be very region-specific, state-specific. So that way, the companies, what they are doing are they are adding that particular inventory in the area in which they have the dark stores. So it's a combination of those things. One, consumer addition, that's likely to be a good driver, but I think the bigger number to focus is the ordering frequency that consumers will see on these platforms.
Right. Sachin, also just want to know, where are you specifically seeing, these trends of quick commerce pick up? Any specific segments? Obviously, we spoke about consumer side, the FMCG side, but other than that, anything, anywhere else that you see this pick up is something that is expected in a trend, that is the internet trend?
So FMCG obviously is there now. If you think of, let's say, other categories that are coming up, right? I highlighted gold coins, silver coins, a lot of the festive related purchases that have come up. Moving on, there is also, for example, a lot of those standardized beauty purchases, for example, that are coming up on these quick commerce platforms that are getting used. Obviously, Blinkit has been highlighting that they sold some iPhone 15 on the platform, but obviously that's not something that you will forecast going forward, or that's not something that you will build a lot of sort of growth from, because that might come and go over a small period of time. But in terms of categories, now you should think of quick commerce as more like e-commerce as such. They are not really limited to grocery as a category. Whatever thing that you think of, let's say chargers for all that matters, right? A number of those cables that people need, even those are coming up. Low engagement items across the categories. It's not just electronics, it might be even apparel for all that matters. India jerseys, for example, during the recently concluded World Cup, a number of India jerseys were sold on these platforms. So I think it's now becoming more of an horizontal play rather than the grocery specific play that that was actually talked about when these platforms were launched roughly 2 years back only.
Right.
So if you think of it within the last 25 odd months, these platforms have grown to account for almost what I'll call maybe
Right.
a 20% the size of the largest retailer in the country, DMart, combining maybe a Blinkit, Instamart as well as Zepto.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sachin. Thank you so much for joining in with us this afternoon on ET Now, giving us an understanding in terms of these internet trends that are shaping up across the country as well, and how quick commerce is doing as well. Thank you so much, Sachin, for joining in with us. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more after the break.